Welcome to EnglishRyan.com.
Hello and welcome to our first argument essay writing lesson. In this lesson, we're going to write an argument essay together. Prior to this lesson, I made a short video about what is involved in writing an argument essay. And if you're new to essay writing, I suggest you take a look at that video before you watch this one. Okay, so our essay question today is this: the presence of technology in the classroom has become more and more apparent and offers students tremendous resources with which to supplement their education. Given time, technology will completely replace the traditional teacher in the classroom. Do you agree or disagree with this statement? So this essay question is basically saying that technology in today's world has become so prevalent that it could possibly take the place of a human teacher in the classroom. In other words, students would not learn from a human teacher, but would learn from perhaps a computer or some other form of technology. Okay, so now the first thing that we should do before we even start writing our essay is ensure that we fully understand the question. And the first area we look at is the scope of the question. Now, the scope of an essay question is basically the areas that the essay question says we can talk about. So when we look at this question, there are three basic areas. The first is obviously technology. The second is the classroom. And the third is teachers and how they relate to these other two topics. Okay, so in our essay we can talk about these three areas, but we can't start to go off on tangents talking about other topics. We have to keep it pinpointed to these three areas. So now we know the scope of the essay question. Now let's look at the instructions, the basic question that the essay is asking us, or the task that the essay question is asking us to complete. So it says, do you agree or disagree with this statement? Now when we read this, we immediately know we're going to write an argument essay. When we're asked to agree or disagree with something, we must form a claim, and then we must come up with proof to support that claim. Now the essay question is saying that the claim can be that we agree that technology will take the place of a teacher, or that we disagree that technology disagree that technology will take the place of the teacher. Okay, so now we fully understand the question. We want to choose whether we're going to agree with this or whether we're going to disagree. And my advice is that we do what is easiest, especially if we're writing an essay in an exam environment. Now when we look at this question, I feel that to disagree would probably be the easiest route we can take. So if we decide to write a disagree essay, the first thing we need to do is to come up with some ideas that support this claim. Now prior to making this video, I had a small brainstorming session with myself, and I came up with three ideas that I think pretty well support a disagree claim to this question. Now the first thing I came up with was that teachers can cater to the needs of their students, and technology cannot do this. So, and if the word cater might be new, so cater just means to change the approach to something, or to make something work for someone in particular. So for example, if in a classroom the teacher is teaching and it's evident that the students are not understanding the topic, well, the teacher can change their teaching approach and maybe explain the topic in a different way. Now, although technology is smart, technology would not be as in tune with the students as a human teacher would be, and perhaps would not pick up the fact that students are not understanding a topic. So this is one area that supports the idea that technology will not replace a teacher in the classroom. Okay, now a second area I thought supports this is the idea of motivation. And discipline. And my thinking was basically that teachers, human teachers in the classroom, especially if they're teaching younger students, could more easily motivate the students and discipline them if it's needed. Now, in a classroom run by technology or a computer, it would again be very difficult for the computer to decipher, I would imagine, when to discipline a student or how to get the students more motivated in the topics. So that's another area that we might want to look at. Now, a third area is the teachers can include current news and personal stories in their teaching. And once again, technology cannot do this. So teachers could come to class one day having heard a news story the night before and include that news story in their lesson. And I would imagine that this would be difficult for a technologically oriented instructor to do. Now, as well, teachers can relate personal stories that they've had in the past to kind of make a richer learning environment for the students. So these are the three ideas that I thought would possibly support an essay that disagrees with our topic. Now, if you're writing this essay for an IELTS exam, well, you want to keep your essay to roughly 250 words. And in my experience, I've found that to do that, we want to have 2 supporting paragraphs. Okay, so when we look at these 3 topics, well, we want to choose the 2 strongest topics, or the 2 strongest arguments that support our topic, and use those in the 2 supporting paragraphs in our essay. So looking at these 3, I feel that the first and the second one are probably the strongest. So I'm going to take out the third one. So basically we have the beginnings of our essay plan. Now we're going to write a disagree essay, and to support this disagree essay we're going to talk about these 2 topics. The first being that teachers can cater to the needs of the students, and the second being that teachers can, to a greater degree, motivate and discipline the students effectively. We also want to point out that these are areas that technology is not effective. Okay, so now keeping these in mind, we want to create somewhat of an